In part one of this series, we'll explore 17 of the most common project execution interview questions and answers you will be asked during your project manager interview. Each answer can be customized to highlight your unique qualifications and experiences. Before your interview, it's important to research the company and review the job description so you can incorporate key skills relevant to the job role in your answers. Question number one: how do you manage project timelines and ensure deadlines are met? Hiring managers ask this to see how organized and proactive you are when it comes to planning and execution. They want to understand if you can break down a project, anticipate risks, and keep everything on track without constant oversight. Focus on your structure, how you monitor progress, and how you handle delays before they become bigger issues. I manage project timelines by starting with a clear breakdown of the overall goal into smaller, manageable milestones. I work with stakeholders and team members early on to define realistic timelines based on actual capacity, not just ideal scenarios. This helps set expectations from the beginning and reduces the risk of delays later. Once the project is in motion, I track progress using a centralized tool where tasks, deadlines, and dependencies are clearly visible. I set up regular check-ins, but I keep them focused so the team can quickly highlight progress, flag risks, and address any blockers. If something starts to slip, I don't wait until it becomes a major issue. I reassess priorities, adjust timelines if needed, and communicate changes clearly to stakeholders so there are no surprises. For me, managing timelines isn't just about tracking dates, it's about staying ahead of problems and keeping the team aligned so we can deliver consistently and confidently. Question number two: how do you prioritize tasks when managing multiple projects? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you handle competing priorities and avoid becoming overwhelmed. They want to see that you can make smart decisions, focus on what matters most, and keep multiple projects moving forward. Emphasize structure, clarity, and how you align priorities with business impact. I prioritize tasks by first understanding the overall goals and deadlines across all projects I'm managing. I look at which tasks have the highest impact on outcomes and which ones are time-sensitive or blocking other work. This helps me focus on what truly needs attention first rather than trying to do everything at once. I also consider dependencies and resource availability, since some tasks can't move forward without others being completed. I use a centralized system to keep everything organized, so I have a clear view of priorities across projects. When priorities shift, I reassess quickly and communicate any changes to the team so everyone stays aligned. I also make sure to protect time for high-priority work to avoid constant context switching. This approach allows me to stay focused, keep projects progressing smoothly, and ensure that critical deadlines are consistently met. Question number three: how do you handle scope creep in a project? Hiring managers ask this to see how you protect timelines and resources while still being flexible. They want to know if you can manage changes without losing control of the project. Focus on communication, structure, and setting clear expectations. I handle scope creep by making sure the project scope is clearly defined and agreed upon at the start. This includes documenting requirements, deliverables, and success criteria, so everyone is aligned from day one. When new requests come in, I don't reject them immediately, but I evaluate their impact on the project timeline, resources, and overall goals. I then communicate those impacts clearly to stakeholders so they can make informed decisions. If the change is necessary, I work with stakeholders to adjust timelines or resources accordingly. If it's not critical, I document it for a future phase instead of allowing it to disrupt the current project. This approach keeps the project controlled while still allowing flexibility where it makes sense. It ensures we deliver what was promised without unnecessary delays or confusion. Question number four: how do you create and maintain a project plan? This question helps hiring managers evaluate your planning skills and how you structure a project from the beginning. They want to see that you can create a clear roadmap and keep it updated as things evolve. Focus on collaboration, clarity, and ongoing adjustments. I create a project plan by first clearly defining the objectives, scope, and key deliverables with stakeholders. From there, I break the project down into tasks, identify dependencies, and assign realistic timelines based on team input. I make sure the plan is detailed enough to provide direction but flexible enough to adapt if needed. Once the plan is in place, I share it with the team so everyone understands their responsibilities and how their work connects to the bigger picture. To maintain the plan, I regularly review progress against milestones and update it as changes occur. I treat the project plan as a living document rather than something static. This approach keeps the team aligned, ensures transparency, and allows us to adjust quickly without losing control of the overall project. Question number 5. How do you track project progress and performance? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you measure success and ensure accountability. They want to see that you rely on data, not just assumptions. Focus on visibility, metrics, and communication. I track project progress by using a combination of clear milestones, measurable metrics, and consistent communication. At the start of the project, I define what success looks like and identify key indicators that will help measure progress. I use a centralized tool where all tasks, deadlines, and updates are visible, which allows both the team and stakeholders to stay informed in real time. I also set up regular check-ins to review progress, identify risks, and make adjustments if needed. Beyond just tracking tasks, I pay attention to trends such as delays, bottlenecks, or recurring issues. This helps me address potential problems early instead of reacting later. By combining data with consistent communication, I ensure the project stays on track and that everyone involved has a clear understanding of where things stand at all times. Question number 6. How do you ensure deliverables meet quality standards? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you balance speed with quality and prevent issues before delivery. They want to see that you build quality into the process rather than relying on last-minute fixes. Focus on standards, checkpoints, and accountability. I ensure deliverables meet quality standards by defining clear expectations at the start of the project. This includes outlining acceptance criteria, success metrics, and any specific requirements that need to be met before something is considered complete. Throughout the project, I build in quality checkpoints rather than waiting until the end. This could include reviews, testing phases, or stakeholder validations at key milestones. It allows us to catch issues early and make adjustments before they grow into bigger problems. I also encourage team ownership by making sure everyone understands what quality looks like for their specific tasks. If something doesn't meet the standard, I address it quickly and provide clear feedback so it can be corrected. By embedding quality into every stage of the project, we reduce rework and ensure the final deliverable meets expectations with confidence. Question number 7. How do you manage project risks during execution? This question evaluates how proactive you are in identifying and handling risks. Hiring managers want to know if you can anticipate issues and minimize impact before they escalate. Focus on planning, monitoring, and response. I manage project risks by identifying potential risks early in the planning phase and documenting them along with their likelihood and impact. This allows me to prioritize which risks need the most attention. During execution, I continuously monitor for any signs that a risk may materialize. I stay in close communication with the team so issues can be flagged early rather than after they've already caused delays. For each major risk, I have a mitigation plan in place, so we're not reacting under pressure. If a risk does occur, I act quickly to implement the plan, adjust timelines if needed, and communicate updates clearly to stakeholders. This approach allows me to stay ahead of potential issues and keep the project moving forward with minimal disruption. Question number 8. How do you allocate resources effectively across a project? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you maximize team performance and avoid inefficiencies. They want to see that you can match the right people to the right tasks while managing workload. Focus on planning, flexibility, and awareness. I allocate resources by first understanding the full scope of the project and the specific skills required for each task. I take into account each team member's strengths, experience, and current workload to ensure assignments are realistic and effective. Rather than assigning tasks evenly, I focus on aligning work with where each person can deliver the most value. This not only improves efficiency, but also keeps team members engaged. Throughout the project, I monitor workload and adjust assignments as needed to prevent burnout or bottlenecks. If priorities shift, I reassess resource allocation to ensure critical tasks remain supported. By staying flexible and aware of team capacity, I'm able to keep the project progressing smoothly while maintaining strong performance across the team. Question number 9. How do you handle delays or roadblocks? During a project, hiring managers ask this to see how you respond when things don't go as planned. They want to know if you can stay calm, problem solve, and keep the project moving forward. Focus on quick action, communication, and solutions. When delays or roadblocks come up, my first step is to quickly identify the root cause rather than just addressing the surface issue. I work with the team to understand what's blocking progress and how it's impacting the timeline. Once the issue is clear, I focus on solutions. This could involve reallocating resources, adjusting priorities, or revising the timeline if necessary. I make sure decisions are made quickly so we don't lose momentum. I also communicate openly with stakeholders about the situation, including what actions are being taken and what the expected impact will be. This helps maintain trust and avoids surprises. By addressing issues early and staying solution-focused, I'm able to minimize delays and keep the project on track as much as possible. Question number 10. How do you ensure clear communication throughout the project lifecycle? Hiring managers ask this to evaluate how you keep teams aligned and prevent misunderstandings. They want to see that you create structured communication without overwhelming people. Focus on consistency, clarity, and using the right channels. I ensure clear communication by setting expectations early on around how and when updates will be shared. At the start of the project, I establish communication channels, meeting cadence, and what type of information each stakeholder needs. I keep communication simple and focused. For example, I use regular check-ins for quick updates and a centralized platform where all key information, decisions, and progress are documented. This way, everyone has access to the same information and there's no confusion. I also tailor communication depending on the audience. Team members may need detailed updates, while stakeholders often prefer high-level summaries focused on progress and risks. By keeping communication consistent, structured, and transparent, I ensure everyone stays aligned and the project moves forward without unnecessary misunderstandings. Question number 11. How do you balance speed versus quality in project delivery? Hiring managers ask this to see how you make trade-offs under pressure. They want to know if you can deliver quickly without sacrificing standards. Focus on prioritization, decision-making, and maintaining core quality. I balance speed and quality by first understanding what aspects of the project are non-negotiable in terms of quality. Not everything carries the same level of risk, so I focus on ensuring that critical components meet the highest standards. When timelines are tight, I prioritize delivering a strong core product rather than trying to perfect every detail. I work with the team to identify what can be phased or improved later without impacting the overall outcome. I also build in checkpoints to maintain quality throughout the process, even when working quickly. This helps prevent major rework at the end. By being intentional about where to move fast and where to maintain strict quality, I'm able to deliver efficiently without compromising what matters most. Question number 12. How do you manage dependencies between tasks or teams? This question helps hiring managers understand how you handle coordination across multiple moving parts. They want to see that you can anticipate delays and keep workflows connected. Focus on visibility, planning, and proactive management. I manage dependencies by identifying them early during the planning phase and clearly mapping out how tasks and teams are connected. This allows me to understand which activities are critical and which ones rely on others to move forward. I make dependencies visible to the entire team through a shared system so everyone understands how their work impacts others. This helps reduce delays caused by misalignment. Throughout the project, I monitor these dependencies closely and check in with teams to ensure everything is progressing as expected. If I see a risk of delay, I address it early by adjusting timelines, reallocating resources, or finding alternative solutions. By staying proactive and keeping dependencies transparent, I'm able to keep the project moving smoothly and avoid bottlenecks. Question number 13. How do you ensure a project stays within budget? Hiring managers ask this to assess your financial awareness and control over resources. They want to see that you can plan, track, and adjust spending effectively. Focus on monitoring, forecasting, and accountability. I ensure a project stays within budget by starting with a clear understanding of all expected costs, including resources, tools, and any potential risks that could impact spending. I work with stakeholders to set a realistic budget upfront based on these factors. During the project, I track expenses regularly and compare them against the planned budget to identify any variances early. This allows me to take action before small issues turn into larger problems. If I notice that costs are trending higher than expected, I reassess priorities and look for areas where adjustments can be made without impacting key deliverables. I also communicate openly with stakeholders about any changes or risks. By staying proactive and maintaining visibility into costs, I'm able to keep projects financially controlled while still delivering strong results. Question number 14. How do you handle changes to project requirements midway? Hiring managers ask this to see how flexible you are while still maintaining control of the project. They want to understand how you evaluate changes, communicate impact, and adjust plans without creating chaos. Focus on structure, communication, and decision-making. When changes to project requirements come up midway, my first step is to fully understand the request and why it's needed. I don't immediately accept or reject it. Instead, I assess the impact on scope, timeline, resources, and overall goals. I then communicate those impacts clearly to stakeholders so they can make an informed decision. If the change is critical, I update the project plan, adjust timelines or resources, and ensure the team is fully aligned on the new direction. If it's not essential, I document it for a future phase so it doesn't disrupt current progress. I also make sure all changes are properly tracked to avoid confusion later on. This approach allows me to stay flexible while still protecting the structure of the project and ensuring we deliver successfully. Question number 15. How do you close a project and ensure a successful handoff? This question helps hiring managers understand how you wrap up projects and ensure long-term success. They want to see that you don't just finish tasks, but also ensure continuity and clarity after delivery. Focus on completion, documentation, and communication. I close a project by first ensuring that all deliverables have been completed and meet the agreed-upon requirements. I review the final output with stakeholders to confirm that expectations have been met and address any final feedback. Once everything is approved, I focus on a structured handoff. This includes providing all necessary documentation, training, and support to the teams or individuals who will be responsible moving forward. I make sure they fully understand the deliverables and any ongoing responsibilities. I also conduct a project review with the team to capture lessons learned, what worked well, and what could be improved. This helps strengthen future projects. By taking the time to close a project properly, I ensure a smooth transition, maintain stakeholder confidence, and create a stronger foundation for future work. Question number 16. How do you manage project documentation and ensure everything is properly recorded? Hiring managers ask this to see how organized and detail-oriented you are. They want to know if you can maintain accurate records that support transparency and future reference. Focus on consistency, accessibility, and clarity. I manage project documentation by establishing a clear structure at the start of the project so everything is stored in a centralized and organized way. This includes key documents such as project plans, requirements, timelines, and meeting notes. I ensure that documentation is updated regularly rather than leaving it until the end. After key meetings or decisions, I make it a habit to document outcomes and share them with the team so everyone stays aligned. I also keep documentation simple and easy to access so team members can quickly find what they need without confusion. This reduces miscommunication and improves efficiency. By maintaining consistent and clear documentation throughout the project, I create transparency, support accountability, and ensure valuable information is available for future projects. And finally, here's the last project manager interview question on project execution and delivery. Question number 17. How do you measure project success and evaluate outcomes? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you define and track success beyond just completing tasks. They want to see that you focus on results, impact, and continuous improvement. Focus on metrics, feedback, and learning. I measure project success by defining clear success criteria at the beginning, aligned with both business goals and stakeholder expectations. This could include metrics such as timeline adherence, budget performance, quality of deliverables, and overall impact. After the project is completed, I compare actual results against those initial goals to evaluate performance. I also gather feedback from stakeholders and team members to understand how the project was perceived and where improvements can be made. Beyond the numbers, I look at how effectively the team collaborated and whether the project delivered real value to the organization. I then document key insights and lessons learned so they can be applied to future projects. For me, success isn't just about finishing a project, it's about delivering meaningful results and continuously improving the process. If you want to learn more on how to land jobs and reach your career goals, don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification button to get new videos every single week. Also, don't forget to hit that like button because that motivates me to keep doing what I do. Stay safe, keep smiling, and good luck.